an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Season 1, Episode 12. Josh and I work on a case. In this episode, Rebecca and Paula try to figure out a way to rescue the broken, charred husk of what could have been from the flames of what Rebecca did last episode. And they have kind of middling results. And then Greg gets involved. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Natasha. Thank you very much to Emery for commissioning this episode. Emery, coming through. So, yeah, you guys, this episode, I have been saying that I had no idea how she was going to rescue this. And the truth is, maybe she can't. Like, here's the thing. When Josh's friend showed up, I kind of thought he had maybe called them. So when it turns out that's what it was, I wasn't shocked, because had it been me, I 100% would have done the same thing. And it just seemed too good of a coincidence that all these dudes show up at the same time, and Josh gets up and sits at the opposite end of the entire table. So I was watching it kind of like, okay, because Josh is not super smart. He can be a little bit oblivious, but also him and Rebecca, if things were cool again, having made plans to hang out just together and him like getting as far away from her as he could as soon as other people showed up, those are not compatible to me. The Josh Chan that we know wouldn't be that rude. He might be clueless, but he's not like that. And the ways in which Rebecca is pushing it this episode were embarrassing to watch in a different way than they've been, because it seemed like she did get so close and she doesn't seem to understand how, and I mean, by what I mean regarding so close, I don't mean before the incident with the sneaking into his house that she almost had him falling in love with her. What I mean is the running into him as if by accident at the auto place. She almost seemed to make it natural. I really felt like that was played really well. And she couldn't be satisfied with that, which frankly, at this stage, she needs to move really, really slowly, because she almost let her entire ass show last episode. So, girl, you got to inch your way back into looking sane. The fact that this was set up the way that it was and that Paula put all this thought into it, you could tell it was exactly right and a great way to handle it. But also, don't push it right away. You know, like, so here, I'm going to go step by step through what happens here, because it is there's so much. All right. She is talking to Paula and explaining to her, Paula, you did not see his face. You didn't get the full impact of how badly this went, and the fact that he looked at me differently, like there was something that really switched over in his brain. And Paula is like, listen, we're going to figure this out. Don't worry about it. And she does manage to come up with a scheme that's like excellent. But I think Rebecca's right. Paula doesn't really grasp what it was that crossed Josh's mind in that moment. I think that she believes they're doing damage control on Rebecca just looking like erratic and weird. And she doesn't quite get how much of the whole situation Josh has put together. Like, he is starting to figure it out. And I wish that she wasn't being as pushy with this as she is. So what it winds up is that she has come up with this entire scheme that Rebecca is going to go get her car smog checked. Go to the auto body shop at exactly 2 tomorrow. Do precisely what I tell you to do. And most of all, stay relaxed. So she has bashed up Chan's truck with a grocery cart and made sure that he is going to be going in for an appointment the next day at 2. I don't know how she gets him to be there at that exact time or how she knows. I'm sure that is covered in this, but I missed it. And Rebecca is going to be there at that exact time. So the first thing is that she is going to, I love when he says, by the way, don't you have a brand new car that you're listing all the features of your Hyundai like you're in a commercial? I feel like you do that all the time. So she says, what happened to your car? It got dinged. We see her just jam her cart into it. I'm super sorry for like that misunderstanding a couple weeks ago. And step 3, move on to the someone you're seeing. Yeah, the whole thing's so embarrassing. I was telling Trent about it recently. Trent? Who's Trent? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't know Trent. He's the guy I'm seeing. Oh, you're seeing someone. Yeah, I knew him back in college. He went to Harvard. Yes, indeed. Ye old Harvard. So all of this, I'm watching it and I'm like impressed. Honestly, I'm like, this is perfect. Immediately apologize, but make it seem like you're apologizing for just something that really wasn't that big a deal. Because I got to admit, y'all, that works on me. I can be kind of like low-key gaslit when somebody else acts like a thing wasn't that big a deal. I will follow their lead and be like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't that big a deal. And it's not until later that I'll look back and be like, holy shit, that was totally a big deal. Why did I let them make me think that it wasn't? But in the moment, that kind of like casual, I'm so sorry about that. You know, it was this big misunderstanding. Moving on is something that 100% works. And Josh is very like susceptible to suggestion and kind of doubts himself a lot because he knows that he's not that smart. So her behaving this way would definitely work on him. And then segueing right into talking about this guy that she's seeing. You guys, I am absolutely in love with this tactic. Now look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I have never ever had much trouble attracting guys that I am interested in. But there have been exceptions. And of course, because I've not had that much trouble, when I run into the exceptions, I am like fucking going to get my way. Because this is the first time I've had a challenge in a while. And I am going to do something about this. And the behaving as if you are not interested, that you are preoccupied with somebody else, works so alarmingly well that it is one of the primary indicators, in my opinion, that most dudes need therapy. Like, they are just so much more interested when you are not interested. And this is what leads to stalkers and shit. Like, this is what leads to guys like Greg when a girl tells him that she's genuinely into him and not seeing other guys, freaking out and bailing. But then when a girl like Rebecca comes along who does not care about him, he seems to be unable to think of anything else. This works like a charm. It's upsetting. And that's not to say it doesn't work on women also, but women have a different socialization regarding men who aren't interested. So guys, when they see that a girl isn't interested, they see it as more of like a indication that she is cool and like that they need to like put in effort to get her attention. When women run into a dude who doesn't seem interested, they internalize that and they go, oh, he doesn't like me because I'm too XYZ. And we sort of like tend to turn that around into something that's like wrong with us. Whereas with dudes, it like so rarely occurs to them that we are not interested in them because of something about them that it's shocking. It just really is. So the reaction of a dude running into a girl, and we're obviously just talking about the most like bland hetero relationships right now, of a dude running into a girl who's playing hard to get versus a woman running into a guy who's playing hard to get are extremely different. And bringing up very casually as if she has been seeing this guy seriously enough for a long enough time, it looks like it's been a couple weeks since they talked, that she can just casually mention his name in conversation, is a really nice touch to make it like, oh, I'm so not worried about you. I never really was. I immediately started seeing somebody else. Like, and we've been seeing each other for a couple of weeks now. And that is not something that would have happened if I was still hung up on you. All of the signals that this sends is great. So, of course, they wind up looking up Trent Maddock on Facebook, who is somebody who lives in LA or in that area and who went to Harvard. So here comes a dude and she pays him for the smog check, and there is a coupon mixed in with that. A coupon for free drinks at Jalapeno Jack's. And Josh is like, really? And she says, oh, and appetizers. And he's like, that's a pricey place. How can they afford that? I don't know. I don't make the coupons. And then we see Paula assembling a coupon and printing it out. Free drinks with Los appetizers. Expires Thursday. It doesn't even say expires like 7/12/ it just says Thursday, which is the most like giveaway thing, but he doesn't realize it. And the whole way that this goes down is where I started to be like, oh, this has gone really well so far. Don't push it, Rebecca. Don't do this. So she starts to talk about how, oh, it expires tonight. I kept meaning to use it. I was going to take Trent, but he's working late tonight. Here, do you want to take it? Take Valencia. So when she says that, I get back on board and I'm like, oh shit, you're making it like you're not asking Josh to take you, or you're not asking Josh. You're making it like you're just giving him this coupon and totally support him going out with his lady friend. And he's like, oh, sure, that'd be great. And then he realizes, oh, but Valencia is also working tonight. She has back-to-back classes. And Rebecca's like, oh, well, who cares? And she starts to throw it away. And then he stops her and he says, if your date's busy and my date is busy and the coupon expires tonight, maybe we should just go together. And she goes, oh, okay. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So she takes this as an immediate, like, he is wanting to hang out with her. Everything is back to normal. But the thing is, and this is what I don't think Rebecca gets about Josh, she thinks that she's luring him with the promise of free appetizers and drinks being like a pretext. To Josh, that is the main event. He is just trying to find a way to get the free appetizers instead. Like, he could have just taken that coupon, honestly, and gone out with his friends, which is what he should have done. But I think that he realized that being like, oh, she's working tonight, and he should have maybe just kept his mouth shut on that, but he had said it already. So the only way to like get around it and be like, but I still definitely want tons of free drinks and appetizers. He takes this like initiative to invite her, and then is like, shit. Because that is definitely like what he's here for. Look, in this respect, I have to admit, I feel like a bit of a kinship with Josh, because if somebody had given, guys, is there anything better? I don't even know exactly how to phrase this. Is there anything better than like chain restaurant appetizers? Chain restaurant food tends to be so lame and whatever, but they have those appetizers down. Like, you name any number of things, whether it be like nachos or mozzarella sticks or potato skins or fried pickles or deep fried mushrooms are also a favorite. Or, you know, like bruschetta, or there's like a million different things, and they are all better than the entrees, like 100%. If I could do it, I would just eat appetizers for meals at those places, but unfortunately it's not usually enough food. And I think that she just underestimates the lure of what this is. So she gets in touch with Paula, and I love the like setup of this being like Apollo 13, and they have like the little like headsets on and the white button up shirts, and Rebecca comes in at one point and says like, oh yeah, that was actually pretty easy. But when she walks in, there are all of these like charts and photos and algorithms and shit with J's. J equals X, auto, JJ, X. Like, Josh's morning itinerary is listed on one of the boards. Can you imagine if he walked in on this, you guys? Can you imagine? That's it. That's a wrap. Nobody is talking to her ever again. Like, this is one of those moments where I am so jealous that she found a friend like Paula, who is so sincerely invested in her and Josh. But also, Paula is such an enabler, and I really wish that she would step back and look at, because she keeps talking about how like their love is the purest thing, and it's like, it's so not, Paula. Like, I love you, and I'm so glad that she has somebody who supports her. I really do feel touched by it. Also, girl, this is super bad for her, and I hate that you seem to believe it when every bit of evidence regarding the way that they have interacted points to he doesn't love her. Their love is not mutual. It's like maybe they would be good together, but it doesn't feel like that's such a force to me. And yeah, moments like this where you really get to see how much work she puts into this from the outside as like just as bonkers as Rebecca herself. Erica is saying, when I try to get people to watch this show, I tell them that my mental alternate name for the show is "This Can Really Only End Badly." That's fair. And appetizer sampler baskets are my weakness. I love them. Listen, guys, I mean, I could just go on and on about appetizers. I should do an unsober episode about appetizers. One of my favorite things is places that have like a regular normal appetizer that they've done something real weird with too. But yeah, I love them so much. I love like spinach artichoke dip. I love loaded fries. All of it. Give it to me. So they are in the middle of talking about this when, oh my God, Dwayne comes in, and he is it Dwayne? Guys, why do I not remember his name? What is it that like my mental block is about with him? Daryl. Guys, I don't know what it is. I can remember so like every other character fine, and then he comes in and I'm always just like, He asks whether or not White Josh is taking any new clients. And he's real weird about it. And Rebecca is just like, I don't know him at all. Just ask him, dude. What are you being so weird about? And he's like, yeah. You know what? I should. Yeah. Okay. And I got to admit, y'all, that this was like the best subplot. And I was squeaking out loud, clapping my hands together with excitement. So he goes to do his training session with White Josh, who just straight up is like, you were being cute and I'm gay. So yeah, I kissed you on the cheek. And I just love the whole way this goes down. When he says, so when was the last time we saw each other? At your house? The fight? Yeah. Well, that was the general event, but the specific event was when I kissed you on the cheek. And he gets this look on his face, y'all. White Josh was not doing it for me until he started flirting with somebody. And he is like so good at flirting, and it is very uncomfortable. The look that he gets, that little like half smile, he has these fucking dimples that like appear. He gets this look in his eye like, oh yeah, what are you going to do? Like a fucking, it's very distracting. It's very distracting. Yeah. That was, that was funny. Was that like a European thing, or was that something Hector put you up to? No, dude, I'm gay. You were being cute, so. And he's like, you're gay? No one's ever mentioned that. Well, everybody knows it's not a big deal. Okay, it's just maybe your nickname should be Gay Josh instead of White Josh, because then people would know what's up. Why? We don't call Greg straight Greg. We don't call you old gay Daryl. Whoa, what? I'm not old gay. I am not or gay. I'm divorced. And the way this whole conversation goes, it's so good because it's frequently when there is somebody who is assumed to be gay and the person who is doing that assuming is themselves gay, they get really, really apologetic and like, you know what? I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry. That doesn't happen here. Josh is just like, I don't know. I got a gay vibe. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, what? Vibe? I don't know why there would be a vibe. I like women. I like sleeping with women. I like the way they smell. I like the feel of their skin. I like their bird-like voices. Does that sound gay? Nope. It sounds like a serial killer, but a straight one for sure. Josh is so chill about this whole thing. It's beautiful. It is just gorgeous. I love the whole way. I have to return a call to my ex-wife, who's a girl, you know, what we actually reproduced together. And that's not something that you can do solo. So that's teamwork. Good point. And then he leaves and Josh just shakes his head like, what the fuck was that? He doesn't have the expression on his face like, oh, Jesus Christ, this guy. Like, it's not even like a, yikes, that was awkward. Nothing about it indicates that Josh himself feels a way for assuming the thing that he assumed. In his opinion, this is no weirder than, I assumed that you were right-handed, but oh, you're left-handed. Oh, okay. Well, then you're left-handed. It's fine. Like, it's that. And the way that Daryl is freaking out, he's just like, I do not understand. Like, you need to chill. I loved the whole way this goes. So then we go a little bit later on to Daryl going to a class that's like a cardio dance class. And I love this so much because, first of all, can we talk about a couple things with this scene? He runs into Josh on the way in, and he's like, I'm not going to be training with you anymore. In the future, my fitness will be coming here, courtesy of the Cardio Mambo class. And Josh is like, yeah, okay, so there is no better way to prove to yourself that you're straight than a barefoot cardio mambo class? And Daryl gets a bit of a moment there, and then they go into the class. So first of all, who the fuck would take this kind of cardio class barefoot? You are asking for an injury. This is bonkers, and I do not approve of it. It's very Zumba-like. Like, that's clearly what they're going for here, and that's fine. But you don't do Zumba barefoot. You jump around a lot in Zumba. You will hurt yourself. You need support. You need arch support. You need cushioning. You need everything. But whatever. So he's in this class, and he is watching everybody to try and get a sense of who he is attracted to. And the teacher, he's staring at her ass, but then there's this dude. And he keeps staring at his ass. And then he gets a bit of a look on his face. But then he stops and he's like, looks back at the woman and is like, ooh, damn, that's pretty good too. And then he's like, butt? And he looks at the other dude again. And I said, butt. Yeah, you know. And I love the whole way that this goes. Oh my God. Could I be, bye, 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 bye. You're bye, Daryl. What? I said, yerba mate tea. I want one. And he's standing there and he's like, oh my God. And I love this so much because guys, bisexual characters are so underrepresented and they're almost always women. Almost always. Bisexual dudes are so underrepresented in media. It's bonkers. And I'm just super, super, super happy that they're doing this. It makes me really happy. Oh, Erica's saying, or athlete's foot / staph infection. Gyms are disgusting places. Girl, you are right. You are 100% right. This is not a thing that I approve of at all. So he winds up going to see Josh, and it's the best, y'all. It's the best. He is wearing his like fly fishing gear. It's so funny. He comes to the door. The whole way that this goes. I'm not gay. Daryl Whitefeather, and I like both sexes. I'm a both sexual. It feels so good to just say that out loud. And Josh says that the term is bisex, and he grabs him and kisses him and then looks at him and goes, that was fun. Listen, Daryl, if you cop Josh, you better hold on to that boy because you're not going to do better than that guy because he is adorable. It's stupid. Daryl, good for you, buddy. Go after him. Go after him. I literally squeaked and went while I was watching. I was like so excited. I'm so happy about it. And that's like really, it makes me very appreciative of the writers of this show that they have everything that's going so badly for Rebecca. And then they contrast it with things with Daryl because it's not only just that things are going better for him and it provides some relief to realize that like, you know, there's hope for him on the horizon, but also it's like Daryl is fucking listening to what people say and then being like, could that be it? Could that be true? Oh my God. And really like thinking through and reflecting and not just being in denial for weeks and months the way that Rebecca is. He doesn't do that. So then he turns out to be happier in like a lot sooner than she does because he comes to terms with stuff much more easily. You know, and I just really like the whole message that sends. All right, so let's back it up and talk about the menu scene where she's talking to the waitress and she's asking about all of the different things. And I love the bit about this restaurant not knowing what its food is. Y'all, this is just, and this is not a regional thing. This is an American thing where we just decide that we're going to like infuse the worst parts, or not even the worst parts, but like the most gimmicky parts of certain foods together until it's just like, what even is this? You know? And some of the places that you will find the most like awful examples of this, I followed a page for a while that shared really bad recipes on purpose, but they would share them frequently from pages that were like, what's for dinner tonight kind of pages where it's meant to be something that the whole family will like, that is not super hard to make, that oftentimes contains a lot of like pre-made ingredients, you know, semi-homemade, in other words. And they fall really deeply into these sorts of categories where it's like, I'm going to combine a can of chili and like a can of cream of mushroom soup and put feta on it or some like weird shit. And you're just like, what are you doing? How did you even like come up with this? And the whole conversation with the girl, and she's like, oh, so what's this salad about? And the girl's like, it's a salad with stuff on it. And I'm like, Rebecca, what are you doing? This girl, you have the menu in front of you. I'm sure it says precisely what's on the salad, on the description of the salad. But we jump ahead a little bit, and her and Josh are sharing this giant margarita. And he's talking about how his apartment has not had hot water in 3 weeks. I'm showering with freezing cold water. And she's like, you should complain. And he says, yeah, I don't like to complain about stuff. Like, Valencia is better at complaining. And since she's not on the lease, she can't give the landlord a hard time. Valencia's not on the lease? She has bad credit. She took a loan out to sell diet supplements, and it turned out they were rat droppings. And Rebecca starts cracking up, and he's also laughing. Guys, I love this detail because Valencia trying to get a place that she can open her own studio really makes it sound like she is in a great place. Like, she's opening her own business. She can afford to do this. She has the background to do it. She must have it figured out. And I love this, that she fell victim to this kind of, y'all know. I am really lucky in that I get it a lot less than I think so many people do. Probably because I have a lot fewer Facebook friends. I keep my friends list on Facebook pretty tight. I don't stray over 500 very often. And it seems like people who have a lot more family on Facebook, as well as a lot more like old high school friends or acquaintances that they know in person, they get hit with more of the like, you know, buy my Scentsy stuff, buy these essential oils, get this like, there was some drink, right? That was like a tummy toning drink or something, body wrap stuff. There's all these different things. And man, is it depressing, like sincerely. But they are marketed to be sold by exactly the type that Valencia is. And what's so funny is that if it hadn't turned out that the supplements were rat droppings, if it wasn't flat out, no, this was a big scam, I bet that Valencia could have cleaned up, because she is precisely the type that could sell people on that sort of shit, because she is gorgeous and fit and lives the kind of life that a lot of us wish we could live, which is why Rebecca wanted to wear her skin, right? So people who are everything we wish we could be are great at selling us stuff, because we assume that they are what we wish because of some secret ingredient, and that ingredient is purchasable. It's something that we can get in a bottle, and now we have the thing she has, and we've got it figured out too, and it'll just be a matter of time before we get where she is now. And the thing is that the ingredient is discipline and motivation and commitment, and that's really the thing that a lot of us lack. I mean, the other ingredient is also prioritizing appearance over enjoyment of everyday life. And that is a thing that I think when it comes down to it, most of us are not willing to sacrifice enjoying like a daily thing that makes us happy just to look better. Like, that really is what it comes down to, is I want to look a certain way, but do I want to look that way bad enough that I'm willing to give up all of these other lovely little comforting things, which like I frequently am not, you know, and that's how you have to like be willing to make that trade-off. And I'm not even trying to say that that trade-off is right or wrong. I'm just saying my priorities don't lay that way anymore. They did once upon a time, but not now. So Erica says, and also genetics and money and luck for sure. For sure. So yeah, the fact like this, him telling her this is really, really funny. And I love the fact that like later on Valencia is like, you know, I'm so self-conscious about the lease. I can't believe you told her. And she brings up, or he brings up Trent again. And she says something about having been lonely. And she's like, yeah, Trent's amazing. Trent and Rebecca. We have the greatest couple name, actually, Trebecca. I want to get it monogrammed on a towel. And he says, that sounds romantic. And she says, yeah, it's pretty romantic. I love this moment. It's so weird. So she's feeling obviously really good about everything. And then Hector comes in and interrupts the whole thing. And she's immediately like, oh, shit. And I saw Hector and I was like, did he ask Hector to come because he's weird about this? But then all the other dudes walk in and I was like, okay, maybe not. Because like, if it was just Hector, I don't buy that he's going out to eat by himself. But then when the other dudes come, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they all did decide that they wanted to go out and eat together and whatever. And then it comes out later that no, it's exactly what I thought from the beginning. So these dudes are all like, there's two guys here that we have not met before. There's Beans, who's like, I know it sounds racist, but it's not because I'm Mexican. It's because I facilitate like Beanie Baby meetups. And then there's this other dude whose name I'm forgetting with this flat top. This hair is intense. Ken's hair, y'all. What is he doing? It's like he's got a funnel that he cut the bottom off of. No good, Ken, sir. You need to do something about that. Like, I just can't help with that shape. It's like he's a topiary. Buddy, like, do something with it. Come on. I just can't, like, and every time that he's in the background, when she starts to do her Shakira-esque song about the group hang, he is making the most like over the top faces in the background. He is so funny. He is having a great fucking time. I really wonder if he's going to like turn up again. Because this is a different assortment of people, considering that we're adding to the group and that Greg isn't here. And I love at one point Beans like leans over and starts drinking out of the giant margarita glass and just kind of blocks her way. I love this whole thing. Erica says, please, Natasha, do us all a favor, and anytime White Josh is in a song, pay attention to his face. David Hull is such a hilarious face actor. This song has the best faces. Okay, Erica, I have this up on screen right now, so I'll do that while I'm like rewatching this, because I just couldn't get past Ken. He just takes so much of my attention. Combination, because his hair is just so like, his hair looks like something out of like a cartoon in the 90s. So I just can't stop staring at him with that and the combo of his faces. So I'm going to play this now. But she like leans over and she tries to say something to Josh. Like, I really hoped that we were going to hang out just the two of us. And that really was the moment for me where Rebecca is trying to push too hard. She got Josh and her at a table alone together eating for 10-15 minutes. That's humongous considering what just happened. He saw through her shit and it was some crazy level shit. And that was only a couple weeks ago and they're already having drinks and just chatting and everything's cool. Like, girl, this is about as best case scenario as you're going to get. And so for these guys to show up and for her to not act enthusiastic at meeting his friends and to be like, I really thought it was just going to be us. You're showing your hand, lady. Shut the fuck up. Don't do this. A group hang, if it started off as a group hang, is better than I would have expected. But you got to start off as one-on-one and it turns into a group hang. And that is a far better case than I ever thought I was going to see in the episode right after what just happened with her. So yeah, she starts singing and we have these guys in the background just eating chips and chatting together and she's talking about like the restaurant. Our time together was cut short by the enemy of romance. And I love the camera swings over and the guys all begin to sing like la 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 la. Guys, there is nothing quite as much fun to me as the setup of something that makes it seem like certain people are just going to be background nothings and then they wind up being like a big part of it. So this abrupt like switch over to the dudes singing with her, I was delighted. I started cracking up and her Shakira outfit and her hair and everything is just, it's so much. It's so much. So yeah, she's doing all like these like body rolls and everything. I love it so much. They're bringing these piles of nachos that are so high that she literally cannot see Josh's face over them. And meanwhile, reminder, she knows that this supposed coupon that she has is not going to actually cover any of this. This is not real. So she's watching them order all of these drinks, all of these appetizers, knowing full well that she is going to have to foot the bill for all of this. And salsa, burritos, taquitos, guacamole pizza. She's got horses running in the background. I haven't seen a Shakira video, but that feels right, if I'm not mistaken. This whole thing is just so weird. And there's that weird moment where one of them is telling the story about a guy named Jeff. And she jumps in and talks about, I had a friend named Jeff who took bad mushrooms and jumped off the roof of our dorm. And all of them sort of stop and stare at her. And this is such a great like moment that all of us can relate to. There is no way that there is a human being on earth who has not been hanging out with a group of people and tried to insert themselves into the conversation in some way because they feel left out or because they feel just like they are standing out by being not a part of things. And they wind up causing that record scratch moment where everybody stares at them. This is absolutely relatable. And it's so fucking uncomfortable. And the way they all stop and look at her. And girl, I feel so bad. So they are all talking about this dude. She goes up to Josh and says, do you want to go up to the bar and get a drink? And she thinks that he's going to follow just her. Again, y'all. Rebecca, stop it. You are not going to come off looking less crazy trying to cozy up to Josh one-on-one in a group setting. You need to slow your roll and accept that this is better than you could ever have asked for. And he looks like he's going to come with her up to the bar, but then all of his friends get up and come with them. Root beer margarita tacos too. Does the chef know what Mexico is? This is so funny. So they're all dancing and like you just, even the waitress at this point has gotten involved. It's a great scene, honestly. It's so strange. And the crashing of the waves behind her throughout. And just like that background is just so strange. I love this. And how very obviously uninterested she is as they are all dancing circles around her. And she just literally crosses her arms and stares into the middle distance. And she offers to pay for the check because everybody is sort of like looking at one another. I just had one stuffed mushroom. I didn't even eat anything. Well, he's going to pay for mine because he uses my Netflix account. She says, don't worry, I'll get it. And opens up the check, and it turns out to be $1,000. I had this happen. Thankfully, I was with a friend, and it was my last day at work, and he paid for everybody. He made very, very good money. And it was like a bill. I think it was like $750 for all of us. And he just covered it. And I was like ready to pay my share. I had cash out. And he was like, no. I took care of it. And I was like, you took care of my food? And he was like, I took care of the bill. And I was like, the bill? You pay the whole thing? What? And he was like, yeah. What? Like, it was just so not a big deal to him. He wound up spending about $1,000 with tip. It's just bananas. And she winds up going, and they like are going to have to take her photo for the wall because she spent over $600. It's this incredibly terrible racist thing where they put a fake mustache on her and a sombrero and a poncho. And they're in the middle of taking her photo when she hears Josh. Thanks for coming. I just still felt kind of weird after what happened at Rebecca's apartment the other day. So after I mentioned dinner, I kind of freaked, and that's why I called you guys for backup. And Hector says, yeah, don't worry about it, dude. And meanwhile, she's just like, oh my God. And she goes and talks to Paula afterward, who is just really, really sad because they thought that they had pulled off something astronomical. And they're realizing that, yeah, it almost worked, but she really scared him with that. So this turns into a whole other situation where she realizes that if she creates a case that she and Josh have to work on, she will be able to spend more time with him while making it seem like she's just doing this for the case. And what she initially, like, they spend so much time brainstorming when immediately Owen and I were like, he doesn't have hot water. Just do that. Finally, she gets to the hot water thing and decides to approach him about that. And Valencia comes into this meeting with him and is really fucking aware of just what it is that Rebecca does. Just the fact that she is not to be trusted. The look that she gives her a couple of times is so funny. Rebecca tries to be cool and be like, well, your name's not on the lease. That's no big deal. We'll just have Josh be the sole plaintiff. It's fine. And Valencia sits there and steams for a second and then just says, no, we're not doing this. I don't trust you. As far as I can throw you, which is not far because you eat bagels after 8 p.m. And she gets up and leaves, and Josh is like, I'm sorry, that was rude, before he runs out. I love that fake Trent boyfriend is on her screensaver of her desktop. And they are kind of at a loss until Rebecca thinks about, like, she looks through some other bylaws and whatnot and realizes that if enough people get together from this, like, complex that he lives in, that they can all sue as a group and get a lot more money. So she wants to try and, like, convince him via more money and, like, lure him into this. Meanwhile, Josh is like, he is talking to that young kid whose name I forgot already, and to Greg. And Greg is 1,000% over Rebecca's shit. And just basically is like, dude, she is manipulating you. She does not have your best interests at heart. this is her excuse to spend time with you because she's super into you. To which Josh is like, listen, most girls in town kind of are into me. That's fine. It's no big deal. I can take care of myself. And he's like, Josh is like, dude, you had a huge crush on her. Why the fuck are you acting like this? And he's like, yeah, I did. And now I see through the shit. And I've had some suspicions for a minute. And the more I see, the more I realize. And Josh is just like, dude, she went to Harvard. If anybody's going to be able to get us money, it's definitely her. And he's like, who cares? The case is just a pretext. And I will not get into the joke that this young boy tells about the pretext being the little text that comes before the big text that he learned about in health class. But suffice to say, it took a minute for Owen to get it, and I was laughing a lot sooner than him, which I find really funny. So Josh says that he hasn't decided what he's going to do, and that he has to think about it, but that this is his decision. And she shows up at his door telling him about the way that she has figured out a different way for this to go. Valencia is still putting the brakes on this, absolutely not interested. And they all start talking about, you know, Valencia and Greg are there. Now, I don't know how many of you thought this, but when she gets to the door, because Josh is out running with White Josh, I think. When Rebecca gets to the door and Valencia says something about like, we're on to your little game and we have proof, and the door opens and it's just Greg, I almost had a heart attack because I really thought that she had went and got Trent, which as it turns out, she did later, but at this point had not. So I was bugging because I really thought that that was what was going to happen. And I still don't really know what's going to happen, but we'll get there. Rebecca still cannot get a straight answer from Josh about whether or not he's in for this lawsuit. And they decide that if they can convince the rest of the building, that will pull Josh in, as long as he knows that this is something that's got some forward movement. So then we get the song that's very like Chicago style of her convincing everybody that having cold water coming out of their pipes is basically going to make their kids drug addicts. And it's real weird. This is probably like the weakest of the songs so far in theme, but also a strong contender in how bonkers the lyrics actually are. But yeah, she is getting all of them on her side and then goes back to his door to try and convince him. And it does not seem to actually work still. He just doesn't seem like he still has this expression on his face. But then we find out that he did decide to go with it. It like cuts to the office and then like having snacks together and hanging out and everything. Guys, like, I'm not wrong, right? It looked like he was going to say no still, right? But regardless, she's obviously stoked to be spending time with him over this case. And then the landlord calls and settles for $1 million, which would be about 10 grand per person. That's like before fees and everything, which they don't really mention. And Rebecca gets extremely suspicious over the fact that this guy wanted to settle right away. It's, of course, a combination. She doesn't want this guy to want to settle so soon because she wants this case to continue. But then also, she does seem to be onto something when she's just like, yeah, this whole, like, he caved really quickly to a pretty big payout. I feel like there has to be some other reasoning behind this. And the thing is, I don't know nearly enough about how water works to tell if the like conspiracy theory that she hears later on actually is true at all, or if it just sounds true to people like us who don't know anything. But I guess we'll see. And if she doesn't take this, what do you call it? If she doesn't take the settlement and then it turns out that this is all garbage, it's just going to go right down the toilet. Oh, by the way, guys, the little bit that Paula says to Rebecca about how I see people think they're fake, but when you get up close, you realize no human could design these. And she says, "Oh, thank you." Wait, people think they're fake? And I love that. It never even entered my mind that they were fake. Those are so clearly her tits. Like, not that I can always spot fakes, because some fakes are very, very good, but it definitely didn't even enter my mind. So she winds up deciding that she's going to pursue this weird conspiracy theory instead. And as she's doing this, we have Valencia and Greg meeting at the, what do you call it? In a parking garage. And she tells Greg, "You're the only one who sees through Rebecca like I do." And he says, "What do you want me to do? I can't prove that she's lying." And she says, "That's fine. I have evidence that she's lying. Look at this." And she says, "I'm telling you, that bitch cray." And I really want to know what it is that she showed him, because it seems like she's saying that the photo that she showed him just now is absolute evidence that that is indisputable when you look at it, that she's lying. So I don't know why she wouldn't just show that picture to Josh, unless there is something about it that could be explained away and she doesn't want to take that risk. And I don't there's just a lot about the setup of this that indicates different things about what could be true. And I don't know what to make of it because of the overall, the choice to go get Trent. Is that a picture of Trent with his boyfriend? He could be bi, you could explain that away. Or is it a picture of Trent having been away in Bermuda during the 2 weeks that he was supposed to be hanging out with Rebecca this whole time? Or does it say he's in a relationship with somebody else? Or who knows what? But in the end, Rebecca winds up going down into the water system with this guy, which leads to the most adorable realization by Daryl about the fact that he goes both ways. I love this. See, that water's being siphoned off. There's a lack of water pressure, which causes water heaters to underperform since they're only triggered at a certain pound per square inch number. It's the age-old trick. You steal a little bit from everybody, nobody notices except old Bert here. These pipes were designed to supply water throughout the county, so they go both ways. Both ways. Interesting. But as you see from this gauge right here, the water's being forced to go only one way. Well, that's not fair. Exactly. The water in these pipes wants to go every which way. Yes, it does, and it has every right to. I love this whole thing. The water is being diverted away from the San Gabriel Valley and toward Los Angeles. But who would do that? They're called Greater City Water, a conglomerate of utility companies, reservoirs, and aqueduct owners working in cahoots with local landlords. So you're saying it's not just about one landlord, it's about the entire San Gabriel Valley being exploited by a corporation worth billions. So, guys, does this sound real? It sure does to me, but I don't know anything about plumbing. And this guy might not know anything about plumbing either, and might have looked at this thing and decided it means one thing when really it does not at all, because it's a very easy thing to go down into that sewer and take a look. So you would think that this wouldn't really be a conspiracy theory if it's that easily provable. I do not know. But it doesn't matter, because she goes to Josh's door to tell him, and there is Trent. And the whole way that this goes down, guys, She says, I found something out. He says, so did I. The door opens and Trent turns around. Trent, pretty big fit dude in a turtleneck. I don't know who wears turtlenecks in the year of our Lord 17? But nevertheless, there he is. And he gives her this look. And what is it that I'm trying to get to the spot where, oh yeah, I think it's Valencia says something like, oh, Rebecca, perfect timing. Trent just got here 5 seconds ago. Trent just got here 5 seconds ago. Did he? Did he? Like, guys, I might believe that Trent's been here for half an hour and Valencia only said he got here 5 seconds ago to trick Rebecca into doing exactly what she does. Because that is evidence that she's a little crazy. So Rebecca runs in and says, Trent, baby, and grabs him and kisses him. And Josh gets this look on his face. But then Valencia and Greg look at one another like they're suddenly not so sure of themselves. So this is my question. Like, did he just get there or not? Because that is the thing. If he just got there, Rebecca could maybe fucking pull this off. I don't know how. I really don't. But I feel like she could. Especially, and bear with me here, if Trent is gay. What if Trent understands immediately what's going on here? What if he has had to pretend to have a girlfriend before and he can sense precisely what the fuck? The moment that she walks in and puts on this whole fucking charade and he's like, oh, this poor bitch, she's been lying that I'm her boyfriend and now they're trying to like trip her up. Oh, sweetie. And he's just like, yeah, no, I'll do this. This is fine. And he might play along. Who knows? I have no idea. Or he could just be like, who the fuck are you? But she kisses him, backs away and says, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here, and kisses him again. And then he like grabs her and starts kissing her back. And that's the part that I'm just like, well, what then? I have no idea. I really don't. Like, he's kissing the hell out of her, guys. Is this part of him like playing this trick or trying to lure her in or what? Like, is this actually Trent? Or is this a different, like, I don't even know. Did they hire somebody that looks enough like that guy that since she doesn't actually know Trent, she just fell for it? There's so many possibilities here. But it can't be that they can't be like completely sure. There's no way, because this would be the end, right? This is weird enough behavior if they've talked to him first and she comes in and just starts making it like, that's it. Erica says a turtleneck tucked into his jeans. Yeah, right? Like, this is a super gay outfit. Come on. Am I wrong? But we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, guys, I'm on the edge of my seat. I have no idea, but I'm very excited to find out. So thank you very much to Emery for commissioning this episode. I have to go home over time. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Samantha and Erica, for chatting with me. I'm so excited to watch the next one. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.